The only constant in life is change. It's not different when you work with technology, right? Things change. So today we had a major change on YouTube. So if anything goes wrong and we go offline again, guess what? Breathe deep and come back again and wait, because we'll come back again, okay? Because there are things we can control and there are things we can't. But I want to welcome everybody to Pavermondo. You know, this is a limited series of interviews where we are actually interviewing artists all around the world. Textile artists, mixed media artists, and they have one thing in common. They use a textile hardener to create art. They create wall pieces, they create artos, they create sculptures. It's really a phenomenal way to express yourself. And you're going to know a lot more about this, because we are going to go on a tour with the artists. We are going to talk about the pieces. And of course, there is a tutorial for you as well. So it's going to be fun. But a few announcements before we dive into that. The first one is that we are live. And the main reason we are live is that we really appreciate your interaction with us. So if you have at any point in time a question to the artist, please write that on the comment box or chat box, depending on where you're watching. It can be below the video or beside the video. You might have to scroll down a little bit. We are streaming to several social media platforms, as well as pavermondo.com and YouTube. So you have there space to ask questions. Do that. My team will gather them, send it to me, and I'll ask the artist, and guess what? The artist will answer right to you. It's an amazing way to explore more this medium. The other thing is that you're going to hear about this textile hardener and other products in the same line. So whenever you hear the name of the product, whatever product she's using, or Paverpol, know that it's not a product that you find in any craft store. You have 3 websites going in the bottom of the video here. These are some of the places you can find the products. So paverpolamerica.com is where you find the product if you live in the US. paverpolaustralia.com.au is where you find in Australia. And paverpol.com is the main website, so when you're there, click on distributors, and you're going to have a list of distributors and countries, and there is going to be someone near you, so you can get to know more, not only about the product itself, but classes, in-person classes that you can take, okay? The last thing is, don't forget to share this. We have a lot of people with us today, but we want more. You know, there's room for more. It's a big space around here. So just tell people to come on over. You can, of course, call them. You can send an email. You can go to social media and make a post right now. Everything that we are going to talk about is content related. There is no selling. So you are safe even to post on a group. Don't forget to put the link that you're watching right now, so they actually find the place where they can watch this. And of course, later, when you scroll, if you go to pavermondo.com, that's the place we do the interviews. If you scroll down, you will see some of the interviews I did in the past. And you're going to, you know, the minimum result of this is you're going to get a lot of inspiration for what you create. I have to tell you, the last one, there was a whale, and I love animals. And I had to try and make one, and I'm already on my 3rd. So that's how it works. You get inspired and you want, and every artist has a different style, a different voice on how they portray their art. So you don't want to miss any of these interviews, okay? So let's start now, and my artist is Bronwyn Stuart from Australia. Welcome, Ronnie. How are you doing today?
Hello, Shahar. Yeah,
Hey.
great today. How are you going?
Where in Australia are you?
I'm in Canberra, which is the capital city of Australia. The bush capital, we call it, because it's in the middle of the country, really.
Yeah, you know, I'm actually familiar with your place because in another life, I used to translate TV series to add captions, and then in my country, original country, Brazil, we actually dub the videos. And there was a police series that I did the whole series. I can't remember the name now, but they were in Canberra. So I remember, getting used to the accent and everything. It was really fun. It was really fun. Tell me one thing.
Yeah, it's a good place.
Actually, before we go, because I know you're probably a little nervous, right, with the interview?
Yes. Yep. Just a little.
And that's normal. Uh, we actually got a lot of people saying, finally, a live stream in the time we can watch in Australia. So I want you to know there are many people from Australia watching you today, but we also, of course, have the US, UK, Canada, Sweden, Netherlands, Germany, New Zealand, Bahamas, France, Brazil, Finland, and Spain. They're all watching you. They're all waiting to be inspired by your art.
It's fabulous, isn't it, to be able to go all around the world at the same time?
Yeah, it is amazing what we can do today and how we can spread the word about what we do. How did you get started with art?
It was about 5 years ago. I enrolled in a one-day class to do An Elegant Lady, it was called, with a local girl who is very experienced and takes a lot of classes. Anyway, I turned up this day and I looked at this girl and I thought, oh, you look familiar. Anyway, turned out we went to boarding school together about 50 years before that. So, and had lost contact. So it was a really good reconnection for us. And we still have that connection.
And that was your first touch with this medium, correct?
Yes, that's right. And then a few years later, after I retired from my work, I started doing Paverpol again, taking classes with Lex, and then the business came up for sale. So I thought, oh, well, I'll have a go. I'd probably manage that.
Nice. So your first touch was those 5 years later where you got in touch with the medium, or you were creating things before as well?
I come from a textile background, really, doing fashion design and clothing manufacture and things like thread paintings, free machine embroidery.
Wow.
I dabbled in a lot of things, silk painting, paper weaving, shibori, all sorts of things.
Wow,
yeah,
nice.
before I came
That's
to
very
this.
good. So it was a normal bridge for you to cross and experience the textiles in another form, right?
Yes, a way to use up some textile and waiting patiently in the cupboard.
Yeah. I've been learning free machine embroidery and I'm loving it. I actually have an ostrich in my office that I made this small, but I'm really proud of that. I like that a lot. So,
Oh, it's
Bron,
fabulous fun, isn't it?
oh yes, it is fun. I love embroidery, but the free machine is a whole new thing for me, the free machine embroidery. So it's been really, really fun. I see a lot of beautiful pieces behind you, but I want to show people first 3 pictures that you sent to us about your art. And you are free to tell me what inspired you to create that piece, or if you want part of the process.
Okay,
Let's see the first one.
sounds good.
There we go.
Yeah, so this lady, she's in one of the Paverpol instruction books called The Sculpting with Liquid Polymer, and she's called Lady in a Straw Hat, but clearly this one doesn't have a straw hat. She has a wrap around her head, and I call her Lost in the Garden. She looks a bit like she's been
How
in the
big is
garden
that?
and neglected. It's about 3 foot high, and it's sitting on top of a block of hebel, which is a porous material, reasonably heavy, so it's stable. And I've used a polystyrene head and painted Paverpol directly onto the head, a few coats to give it a good coverage, and using stockinette mainly for the draping of the fabric, and silk flowers.
Very
that
cool.
take to the Paverpol very well as well.
Nice. Let's see the next one.
Now these are rocking birds. The instructions are also in one of the Paverpol books called Elegant Figurines. And I made these for my son-in-law when him and my daughter had their first baby. I just called it father and son.
Uh-huh.
You know, they're called rocking birds because there's a rock in the base of them, and they have a zip up the back, which gives them some style and some texture. They're just made with Paverpol and fabric, uh, bound up with foil underneath, and then the wrapping of the material strips, the t-shirt material, and using wire for the shape, but also there's stems, twigs and stems out of the garden.
Very interesting. And now the last one for now.
Now this one, I have it behind me. It came about because I had a lot of heads that I'd made with a two-part air drying clay, and I thought, what can I do with them? Anyway, I have had a block of polystyrene, which was from packing material, so it's repurposed, and it just evolved really with ladies, and it became a bit of a, well, I've called it resurfaced because it's about, you know, coming back to life really.
Very
and
cool.
it has, if you can see the close-up, it has a lady on the top relaxing, one on each, dressed in lovely drapey clothing. And this side is the eyes. One of those eyes, the open one, is a mould that I'd made and converted into an eye. One eye's closed, one's open, and another of the moulds you can see makes a nose. And the lady up the top, her skirt drapes down, giving that one some hair.
Very cool.
You can see that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, I see some beautiful pieces behind you. Do you think you
Yes.
could grab me one of them and show to us?
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's a little girl in blue. Oh, nice, that one. Nice, 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 nice.
Yeah. Can you see that one?
Yes.
So this one, again, is made with a base of polystyrene.
Oh.
Which is, you know, it's quite dense and gives a steady, a solid base underneath. It's a take on the nomad ladies. You see that are basic Paverpol structure or sculpture that a lot of people make and are quite simple. This is just an extension using some evening fabric over the top with some braid and jewellery in the holes in the centre. They're just an unusual style line with using copper.
Did you say the body is styrofoam or just the head?
No, the body.
The body.
All
wow.
this, yeah. All this under here is really solid polystyrene.
Okay.
And it has wire down the side as well. So the armature wire to give it more stability, and across the shoulders. So to hold the hands. The hands and the face are made from a two-part air drying clay.
Would this piece be able to go in the garden?
Yes.
Yes, wow.
The copper would, you know, colour It doesn't live in the garden. It lives inside, but if it was in the garden, because the air drying clay is suitable for the garden, for outside. I'm not really sure about. Yeah, I'll just show you the back because there's some nice draping. If you can see,
Yes.
it's draping right down to the bottom.
What type of textile did you use there?
That is a it's a synthetic fabric evening wear. You probably can't see it on the screen, but it has a sparkle, a silver sparkle through it, in a design line of the material. Yeah, but it's really works really well.
Very
for this sort of thing.
So, Bron, what do you say if we show people a little bit of your city?
Oh, yes. It's autumn here now, so there's some fabulous colours in the trees around the place.
Oh, nice.
As you see in the video.
Let's watch that video then.
Streetscapes with the beautiful coloured leaves. This is the arboretum that has been created in the last few years. And that's a view over the city, over Lake Burley Griffin from the arboretum. The arboretum is a collection, and that's the gumnut pod play area for little kids. This is our botanic gardens that has some beautiful native flowers out, like this desert pea, which grows in some places, and the grass trees are quite prominent in Australia. You can see the tall flower spikes on those. And the Banksia flowers. There's hundreds of varieties of Banksias and eucalypts, and they have, and this is some beautiful texture on one of the eucalypt trees at the Botanic Gardens. That only happens at certain times of the year. It's a hakea in my garden. It's another native. This is the Balloon Fest that happens every March, and it's spectacular. The weather these are Canberra-based balloons, Sky Whale and Sky Whale Popper. That's the lake shore. Lake Burley Griffin is a man-made lake. This is the Carillon that was a gift. It's a bell tower with 57 bells donated by the British government. And it's rather lovely, a popular spot for people to meet and have events like weddings. Canberrans love getting out and picnicking around the lake. That's the National Library with a beautiful water feature in the front. Some native wildlife, kangaroos, lorikeets. These are found all around Canberra and also down the coast. This is a stylised eagle that the Australian people donated to build to thank America for helping out in the Asia Pacific during the war. This is our Parliament House, which is covered with grass, and it was built that way so the people could be above the government. This is some shots from down the coast, which is very close to Canberra.
That's
We say
very
Canberra's,
pretty. I love that.
yeah,
Australia
it's a lovely city.
is in my bucket list for a very long time because of the animals that you have there. I gotta go someday and be able to photograph them. I have a few questions for you, okay? Jen is asking,
Yeah.
where do you draw the most inspiration for your pieces?
Um, I guess from people around me, the bush.
The bush?
Yes, I look around. There's a lot of art on the internet as well.
Uh-huh.
And not that I copy anything, but you get some
Oh,
inspiration from
yes.
that,
Uh-huh.
and from our native bush and animals. I like animals from everywhere,
Nice.
really.
That's good. Linda is asking, what are some unusual materials that you have used Paverpol on that might be interesting to try?
Hessian is a really good one. It's an open weave and it has quite a lot of body. So I really enjoy using that. Can I just show you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, of course you can.
Yeah, so just some little, these are made with poly bodies, but the skirt, I've made a skirt out of hessian and also a hat. She's a social lady, a simple little one made with paver scrub. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, the hessian feathers. This feathers don't really work with Paverpol, but they make a good add-on if
Add
it's not
on,
going
yes.
outside.
Very cool.
Paper is also a good one. In that last sculpture, um, the base on the wooden base, the texture is made with tissue paper in the Paverpol, which gives a really nice look.
Very good. Katie, I live in a very hot place and am curious if these hold up well to extreme heat.
Yeah, they do. They can soften a little bit in the heat, in the sun, but once it cools down again, they'll harden. So it's not an issue.
Very good. And Elena Brown, you mentioned the draping on the doll you showed us with the beads hanging. Just a sec. Brown, you mentioned the draping on the doll you showed us with the beads hanging. Was it synthetic? I thought Paverpol worked only on natural fabrics, or did I hear it wrong?
No, that's correct. It works best with natural fibres. And you can't use it with things like nylon because it will get really brittle. But these sort of fabrics, evening fabrics, work well. This particular sculpture hasn't been outside, so that hasn't been put to the test, really, that fabric. But I think it would be fine because it has the layers of Paverpol to protect it.
Okay. And Dawn is saying, your designs are lovely. Are most of them your own original concepts?
No, some of them are. Some of them are concepts from other people. That particular doll is an original concept from my friend Lex Sorrentino, and I just created it from that. But most of them are the ones that you see. Most of them are my concepts. The lady in the garden, the instructions are in one of the Paverpol books, so that one's not mine, although I've created it differently with stands. Yeah.
Jim wants to know, what is your favorite Paverpol product to use?
Transparent, I think, is the most versatile, but I really like using art stone. You can make some really fabulous effects with art stone and Paverpol. I don't have a lady here. I made a full skirt and dress with this lady in blues and whites, Yeah, and looks really fabulous. And you can use it on bases and all sorts of effects. It gives a stony, rocky sort of effect.
Uh-huh. And it's very cool. So,
Yeah.
Bron, I want to see the place where you usually work, and you sent us a picture. So tell me a little bit about that. Let's see the picture.
Okay.
Ooh, lots of
This is
product there.
yeah. So this is actually my garage, and that's where I store all my Paverpol products. I have a little nook right at the end of the garage, as you can see, where I work. It's just enough space for the table and for me, and I can open the roller door to get some good light in there. Yeah, so it's pretty tight, but it's just enough space. Just proves you don't need a lot of space to actually work with.
True. Very cool. Now, do you sell your pieces? And if you
Yes,
do,
I
where do you
do.
sell them?
Mainly at markets. We've collaborated with two of my friends, and we just went to a handmade market in Canberra a few weeks ago, and another one. Yeah, mainly that's locally at different sorts of markets.
And what's the
Yeah.
response every time you go? Do people, are they intrigued? Because my experience is when you say that you have to you use fibers or textiles to create a sculpture, people go like, what? Uh, how is it with
Yeah,
you
they're
there?
pretty amazed. Yeah, people are pretty amazed and, overwhelmed, I guess, in a way that you can
Uh-huh.
do that with textiles and, like it's a bit of a recycler,
True.
Paverpol sculptures,
Hmm.
because you can use um, things you haven't used before, that are no longer functional, like your old t-shirts or polystyrene that was for packing, and so you can save wasting it.
Hmm.
Yeah, yes, the response is yes, amazed, really. Most people are amazed with it.
Yes, I know. And do you give classes?
I've been out of town into the country areas. My most recent one, I went to a town called Hillston, which is about 400 kilometres away,
Uh-huh.
where it's quite dry and on the edge of the outback, really. So I haven't been doing classes in Canberra because there's a couple of girls that do classes that are very experienced and proficient
Uh-huh.
in and around Canberra. And I don't have the space at my house. But I intend to do classes, and I'm looking for a suitable place to do that.
Uh-huh. Very cool. Uh, I want, let me see something here. Uh, let's take a look at some other pictures of pieces that you have sent us, because I bet people are getting, oh my gosh, I love this. Let's see. Do you have one there? Oh yes.
Yes, that's that resurfaced. Um, See, you can see the model of a woman with a dress just relaxing back, coming back into the world, I guess. That's on one end of the resurfaced sculpture that I've created. And you'll find some other pictures of around. So that's that other side that we looked at before.
Uh-huh.
And the other end, using different fabrics. This fabric that this dress is made out of is actually made from a very fine bed covering.
Oh,
So that looks and feels like cotton, but it actually isn't. But it works really well with Paverpol. It responds really well.
very cool. Yeah, it always amazes me how much we can actually repurpose things that we have at home instead of throwing them out, right? So you have the artists that use T-shirts and the bed sheets and things like that, the styrofoam. How many things we can paper? So how many things we actually can repurpose before throwing them out, of course, and then giving a new meaning, but most of all, making a piece of art with that. It always amazes me that we can do this. Now, let me just tell,
Yeah,
yeah, isn't that so?
that's right. Yeah, it's fabulous what you can do.
Uh-huh.
And with this, in this day and age, when we want to recycle and, clean up our world, yeah, it's a
Yes,
perfect
exactly.
solution.
Exactly. I'm just telling people that arrive a little later that you're seeing all the time 3 websites on your screen at the bottom. These websites are the right places for you to go to look for the whole line of product from Paverpol and classes, right? So paverpolamerica.com is in the US. So if you're in the US, you want to visit that website and take a look. If you are in Australia, paverpolaustralia.com.au is the right place for you to go. And paverpol.com, click on distributors and you're going to see a list of countries and distributors that you can get in touch of in your country. So, nobody gets left behind. There is somebody near you, you want to go check them. I have a few questions here for you. Nancy is saying, the bases of your pieces are very unique. Do you make them yourself or are they found objects?
They're mostly wooden. I use wooden bases because they're weighty and which makes the sculpture stable. They're all different. Some of them are actually, you can see this orange, the one with the terracotta dress and the blue wrap. Well, that's made out of a light stand. So you can repurpose light stands, table legs, chair legs. These most of them are wooden, but the elephants are made on metal Paverpol stands, 2-legged stands. The social ladies, the socialites, they're just a little polly dolly with a well, this one has a tiny little wooden base.
Base, yeah.
One of them, some of them are, you can use Hebel, which is a porous material that's very cheap you can buy, which is what the lady in the garden directly behind me is.
The big one, yes.
Yeah, the big one. That's what that, and just has enough, it's not too heavy, just has enough weight in it to stabilize it so it doesn't, fall over.
Elena is asking, can you show us your doll behind you with a reddish dress? What is her shawl made of? The one you just touched a few moments ago.
Yeah, her shawl is made from.
There you go.
Can you see it? Yeah.
Yes.
So it's made from a top I bought at an op shop that had a lacy. So it was a cotton top, and this is lace, cotton lace. So it has a nice effect, doesn't it? It drapes really well, and it's responded very well to the Paverpol colour.
Very cool. Beautiful colors too. Devon is saying that relaxed lady was absolutely fantastic. I think the ones we show with the
thank you.
Yes. And Rose is asking, is Paverpol like a glue?
No, it's a silica-based product, which is non-toxic to humans and animals. It was created by, I believe, by a group of artists in the Netherlands who, for their artistic endeavours, needed something to solidify their creations. And this is the product we're using.
Very cool.
It looks a bit like wood glue in Australia, but it's stronger and it's weatherproof, whereas wood glue is not.
So develop a little bit about on the weatherproof. How weatherproof is this? Can you pick a piece? What care do you have to put it outside, and for how long do they last?
I know of friends that have pieces that are 16 years old. You just need to, you can add product called Paverplast, which gives them extra weatherproofing. But you don't need it. You don't need it for everything. Probably an extreme, probably best for Australian, like Canberra winter. It can get, well, reasonably cold on our standards, probably not on Canadian standards, but
how cold does it get?
And we can get down to -9 at night. Our day, we've had a few. We're in autumn now, and we've been down to -4 at night. But that means we have beautiful sunny days.
Yeah, yeah. Katy is asking, does Paverpol work on plastic?
No. It doesn't adhere to plastic, which is a really good thing because it means you can wrap things in plastic that you don't want to be hardened, and you can use plastic for giving them shape while they're drying. Like if you have a dress and you want to give it some body, then you can put some plastic underneath it just while it's drying to hold the shape that you require.
So the plastic can be actually a fantastic aid in the process of making a sculpture, because you can help shape and not have things that you don't want the product on, correct?
Yeah. If you had a plastic stand, you could wrap it in alfoil, and that would cover the plastic, and then you wrap the alfoil with whether it's your fabric strips or the wrappers, which are also a really good Paverpol product for wrapping things, and you could use it that way.
Okay, and I want to go back to the pieces that can go in the weather. What I shouldn't do if I'm making a piece to put in my garden? Is there anything that I should be aware of?
Just to make it well covered, like to give it at least 3 coats of Paverpol, and make sure everything's covered and there are no gaps. Because if there are gaps, then that means water, if it rains, water can get in, other things can get inside, and that will diminish the weatherproofing of it.
Very cool. Sally Mason, if you use Paverpol translucent, does the color of the fabric show through well, or does it get faded by the product?
No, it's beautiful. It shows the exact colors, which is great if you've got patterned fabric. You just have to be a little bit aware that if it goes out in the sun, then some fabrics can fade. So Paverplast is a good protector, but it does alter the color slightly, makes it a bit darker. But you can also use put Josephine varnish over the top. That's a Paverpol product. If you give it a few layers of that, then that helps to preserve the color.
Very cool. And who's this beautiful lady behind you?
This beautiful dancing lady is she's on a wooden stand. Her body is a polystyrene ball. Ooh. And I've used a 2-part air drying clay for her face, which I've made the face from most of my made from mold. So you know, it doesn't matter if you can't sculpt, you can still make some lovely faces. And these are just clothing. Her skirt is made with some really lovely African fabrics mixed. It's like a fabric mosaic, I guess, and using the jewellery piece of...
So the styrofoam ball is actually covered with the textile, correct?
Yeah, I've covered it with foil first and then the fabric over the top of that.
She's one of my favorites, I have to tell you. It's very, very pretty. And see, you know, many people, when they are introduced to sculpting, they put all their fears out, like, oh, I can't sculpt, that my hands can't do anything. I hear that so many times. But it's just you need to let your creativity go out in the sense, oh, I can use a styrofoam ball and then cover that with fabric. I can use a metal to create the rest of the torso. I can use a mop to create the hair, right? And you create something that is
Yeah.
so unique and beautiful. I mean, I look at this lady and it makes me smile. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I'll just show you, talking about hair and the
Uh-huh.
mop. Um,
Yes.
um, I have this sitting lady.
Yes, I can
Yeah.
see.
I don't
Yeah.
know if you can see, her hair is made out of a scarf. You know,
Oh,
you can get lots of different fibers that people
like
knit
a silk
scarves out of.
scarf? Or was it a silk
No,
scarf or
it's
kind of?
not. It's not. No, it's just a yarn that's made. It's not
Oh,
even a natural fiber. It's
uh-huh.
a very fluffy type of yarn
Very
that's
cool idea.
knitted together. Yeah, and put in the Paverpol, and
Very cool.
as it's drying, you can manipulate it to get the style that you like.
I love it. I love it. Now, you mentioned a couple of times that you use an air dry clay that is two-part. I'm not familiar
Yes.
with a two-part air dry clay. So that's not epoxy clay or something like that, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is. So it's a type of epoxy clay that part A, part B, and then you go.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Elena, did you paint the lacy Shawn on the figure with the orange dress? If so, what paint did you use and what color?
Oh, I used transparent Paverpol with the blue Pavercolor mixed in
Okay,
it. So I mixed that color in a tray
with the
with
Paverpol.
transparent, and then put the shawl into the knead the uh, Paverpol through the fibers of the fabric.
Uh-huh.
And with cotton like this, excuse me, you need to knead it in quite well so the Paverpol gets right into the fiber of the fabric. Because otherwise it doesn't have as much weatherproofing, and it can miss parts. You have to be careful not to miss parts because it's quite thick. It's a thick
Uh-huh.
thread
Very
that
cool.
it's made out of.
And the
Yeah,
powder color is the powder, right? That you mix into the powder pot.
that's right.
Okay.
Yes, both are. This one's terracotta and that one's blue.
Oh, the
Yeah,
terracotta, you also use the powders, the powder color.
yeah, yep.
Very cool.
In
I
the same
like how
process. Yeah.
intense it is. That's good. Christine
Hmm.
is asking, does Paverpol add a lot of weight to the materials you use?
Oh no, not really. Um, you can. They're really light actually.
Uh-huh.
When you're making it and you're mixing the Paverpol into the fabric, you need to. It can be quite heavy at that point, but then you need to squeeze out the excess, mainly because you don't need the excess if it's like dripping,
Uh-huh.
and so you waste your Paverpol basically, and you don't need it. So, but once it's dry, it's really light.
Sally, do you paint the Paverpol directly on the air dry clay? Can you do that?
Yes, you can. Yes. Yeah.
Easy, even better. Amelia is saying, that hair made from a scarf is so cool, in caps lock.
Yeah.
Now, Bron, I know you prepare a tutorial for us. Tell us a little bit about it before we watch it.
Okay, so the tutorial is on these stylized elephants. They're made. I was looking to make them, and I had some two-legged stands that are a Paverpol product, and I foiled up the legs like I actually didn't wrap them. I just squashed the foil onto the legs, and that's okay because elephants' legs are not quite smooth anyway. They're quite leathery, and with the bodies, so the legs just go up. They're curved at the top with a slight rod at the top, and I used foil, clumps of foil to make shape. I could have probably got some polystyrene or something to bulk it out first, but I didn't. I used a foil, um, to make the different body shapes, and then covered them in strips of cotton interlock.
Uh-huh. Is the elephant the one behind you?
Yes,
So, would you
on
mind
the
picking up?
this yeah, this is the little baby elephant.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so I
Very
have some photos. I guess I have a wall piece that I bought from somebody else with
uh-huh.
elephants, and that inspired me
To
to,
make
yeah,
these.
to create these
It's
ones for the
very cool.
garden.
Do you mind
Hmm.
turning it around a little bit? I know you have a helper there. I want to see.
My able assistant, yeah, it's my
Very
daughter.
cool.
She's doing a great job.
Awesome. I love mother and daughter teams. I have one right here with me.
Oh,
Very
good.
cool.
They're great. Yeah, the
Yeah,
best thing around.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I'm excited to see this. So let's watch this tutorial. And don't forget, this is going to be the last part where you can actually ask questions about her art, everything about her, and of course the product. Let's watch.
Welcome to my studio in Canberra, the capital of Australia. I have a cosy nook at the end of my garage where I house all my Paverpol stock. Today I'm going to be making some stylized elephants. These are elephants I've made previous to this. They're fun, they're creative, they're easy to make, and they can go in your garden or inside. I discovered the usefulness of these two-legged Paverpol stands when looking for something to make these elephants out of. They're already made, they're strong because they're made out of steel, and you can add things to them. I will just wrap around it, just squash the foil onto it and smooth it down a bit. It doesn't really need to be that smooth because the elephant's legs are quite leathery, and so I just cut a strip. It doesn't really matter what length it is, and just sort of squash it on. Just gives a little bit of body for the legs. So I just take these legs right up to the top. Once I get up to the join, that's where I'm going to make the body of the elephant. This is where I can really just scrunch it up and squash it on. It's quite therapeutic squashing it on. You can just put it onto one place because the alfoil is good at holding itself together. Add a little bit to scrunch up where the knees might be. Just squash it on and it stays there. If the alfoil isn't staying on and sticking to itself, which it usually does, I can just add a little strip of aluminium tape. I've added aluminium wire wrapped around the top of the stand to add an extension on for the elephant's trunk, and I'll cover that with foil, just the same as I've done the legs. So I've foiled the whole elephant, and now I'm ready to wrap it using strips of interlock cotton. You can also use wrappers, but I like the interlock because it gives a real ridgy effect and shows the leatheriness and the curviness of the elephant's skin, and it works well with the highlighting. So I've got my first strip that I've put into the Paverpol and kneaded it right through the fabric, and I'm just rolling it up to make it easier when I'm wrapping. And I'll start from the bottom and attach my strip of Paverpol cloth onto the stand. And I'll just wrap it all the way up the legs, and I'll continue with strips right up the top, including the trunk. I made the eyes out of a 2-part clay, air drying clay medium. They're quite saggy around the eyes, so I just cut a couple of diagonal pieces. The actual eye will sit in the middle of that, and I've cut out some little shapes out of the interlock. 2 pieces for each ear so that they go together and they give it a bit more strength. It sticks a bit to the body, but as it dries you can use a skewer to shape them a bit more. And when it dries a bit more, we'll do some highlighting in the silver. So now the elephant's wrapped in Paverpol. Now highlight the creases in the elephant with transparent Paverpol and silver Pavercolor. Just have a little bit on this foil, dipping the brush into the Paverpol and then into the silver, and brush it upwards onto the sculpture, and it picks up the ridges of the interlock. The highlighting really makes the elephant pop. Looks a bit white at this point because of the wet Paverpol, transparent, but it will dry off and leave the silver highlights. There we go. When that's all dry, then I'll cover it with some Josephine varnish so they're happy to go outside in this Canberra weather. These stylised elephants are a fun Paverpol project to work on if you've got a spare few hours one morning or afternoon, then have a go. Simple and fun.
Awesome, awesome. They're beautiful. Very good job. I love it. Sandra is asking, have you ever used bubble wrap cover with masking tape to bulk out a piece?
No, I haven't actually, but it sounds like a good idea to me. You'd probably have to cover it with the foil because bubble wrap is plastic, and but it's a good idea, I think.
Very, very cool. So, Bron, any final words for the people that are watching you today? What will, tell me 3 things that you like about what you do that they should be, embracing in their lives.
Well, Paverpol is easy. It's easy to make something really creative and something that looks good, and you don't have to have innate creativity to be able to create something great. You can just there's plenty of tutorials out there, and there's plenty of people doing workshops, and once you've done and you realize how the product works, then you can the sky's the limit. Then you'll find that your creativity comes to the fore, and you can you'll have ideas of your own.
Yeah, true. And I always love when somebody says the sky is the limit, because for me it just translates that you just have to start trying, right? Because once you start playing with the medium and the objects that you have around you, the ideas will flow and you can go from there.
That's right, absolutely. So anybody can create anything. You can do simple things and you can do more complicated things if you want, but it's available to anybody to have a go, really, and create something beautiful.
Yeah, so why stop yourself, right? You go try. I mean, you probably have a styrofoam ball someplace. You have aluminum, I know. It's just go to the kitchen. So you can start putting something together and see how you like to be using the medium and you know, the things that you can create, and things go from there. I have a comment for you. Liz is saying, I love the simplicity of building the base of these elephants. I can't wait to try one myself. See, Bron, you already got at least one inspired here to get started.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. I'm feeling very inspired. Elena is saying, Brown, thank you very much. Your figures are stunning. And yes, Brown, thank you so much, not only for being here today with us, but of course all the work you did to make this interview possible, right? The tour, the tutorial. I do appreciate you joining the team of people that want to spread the word about this type of sculpture, right? Using this type of medium, because I think it's revolutionary that all of us that love fiber and textiles, I am a big one of them. I love fiber and textiles. I like the touch of it. I like the colors. That we can now translate that into a whole new world by creating sculptures, wall pieces, many different things that for a while people thought, this is never going to work with textiles. Now we see we can. So thank you so much for helping spread the word with that. And you know, I love your space. I was thinking, even today, my studio is like, excuse me, you know, full of stuff, and then I get, and I, sometimes, for real, I have half a table to work on. So I'm really inspired by that, because, you know, you use what you have, and you use in a very cool way. Dawn is saying, love learning a bit about you. Thank you so much for your time. Sandra Siri is saying, thank you so much. So again, thank you for being here. I loved your pieces, and I will try one of those ladies with the styrofoam ball, because the moment I saw that, I said, oh, I gotta try that. And you know how creatives are. That's how we get inspired. I gotta try that, right?
Oh, so fantastic. Much. Good on you, Shahar. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share my work and, share my work with you and anybody else who's listening.
Yes, and the doors are always open for you here. Anytime you want to come back. And please thank your daughter for helping everybody enjoy your pieces, okay?
She's waving.
Okay, thank you. Really good. Good job. Hey guys, so that's it for today. Don't forget those 3 websites that you see at the bottom of the screen. They open a door for a lot of possibilities, right? So again, if you're in the US, paverpolamerica.com. If you're in Australia, paverpolaustralia.com.au. Paverpol.com will give you all the distributors around the world, and there are many out there. So look for them. And you know, go take a class, get your hands dirty with the product, because you're gonna love it. And of course, I have more interviews coming up for you. July 8th, we are going to be with Annette Holiak, and you're going to love her. People that know Curious Mondo, which is the company where we do courses, have met Annette already, and you know, she's phenomenal. You're gonna love it. So make sure that you are here that day, and don't forget to share this video with other people. You know, you may inspire somebody to start on a whole new journey. You might even be saying, I don't think this is for me, but look at people around you that could benefit from this, and you know, keeping their mind entertained, learning, you know, and focusing on good things. Right? And don't forget to scroll down the page later if you're watching on pavermondo.com and watch the other interviews. They are jaw-dropping. We have amazing artists already, and we plan to have many more here. So join me again July 8th for Pavermondo at pavermondo.com. Thank you so much for being here today and for your participation.